Dear children, last class we studied about the Pascal's law. Now we are going to study some important topics on the Pascal's law. That is Pascal's law for transmission of fluid pressure. It states that whenever external pressure is applied on any part of the fluid contained in a vessel, it is transmitted undiminished and equally in all directions. Which means that when you apply pressure on any part of the fluid inside a vessel, then that pressure is transmitted without reducing and equally in all directions. This is the Pascal's law for transmission of fluid pressure, and it has many applications. We are applying this principle in hydraulic machines like hydraulic lift and hydraulic brake. This is the schematic diagram of hydraulic lift based on the principle of Pascal's law of transmission of fluid pressure. This device is used to lift heavy loads like car, etc. So this device consists of two pistons. A piston of small cross-sectional area A1 and a piston of large cross-sectional area A2. And these two pistons are separated by the space filled with a liquid, this space. Okay. Then the piston of small cross-sectional area exert a force F1 on the fluid. Okay. Then what is the pressure applied by this piston of small cross-sectional area? That we can write pressure equal to force by area. So what is the force here? That is F1 divided by what is the area? That is A1. So this is the pressure applied by the small piston of area A1. And this pressure is transmitted throughout the liquid to the large cylinder. Okay, attached with a large piston of area A2. So what happens here? This results in upward force F2. Okay, so that force we can write F2 equal to pressure, okay, pressure applied by the small piston of area A1, that is P into A2. That is force equal to pressure into area. So here the force is applied on the large piston of area. So this pressure is transmitted and it exerts a force on the large piston of area. So that force F2 equal to P into A2. So what is the P here? That is P equal to F1 by A1 into A2. That we can again write F2 equal to, okay, F2 equal to F1 into A2 by A1. Clear? So here we are applying the input force as F1. But what is the output here? Output is F2. It is the product of input into A2 by A1. Okay. So the output increases by a factor of A2 by A1 than the input. Okay. So this A2 by A1 is the mechanical advantage of the device. Isn't it? So the applied force has been increased by a factor A2 by A1. Okay, applied force has been increased by a factor of A2 by A1. So by changing the force at A1, okay, by changing the force at A1, then we can change we can move the platform in the upward direction or in the downward direction. So if you with this force F2, we can lift the heavy loads. If you are placing the car here, due to this, that means due to this force, That means when you apply the force F1, then this F2 lift the car in the upward direction. So this F2 increases than the F1 by a factor of A2 by A1. That is the mechanical advantage of the device. So we can lift the car in the upward direction. So this hydraulic lift is based on the principle, or it is working on the principle of transmission of fluid pressure. Okay, that means when you apply pressure on the small piston of area, that pressure is transmitted through the fluid and reaches the large piston, and we can upward or we can lift the large piston to a particular height. In this way we can lift the heavy loads like a car and other vehicles, etc. Okay. Another one application of Pascal's law of fluid transmission is hydraulic brake. Hydraulic brake consists of a master cylinder and a brake cylinder. Master cylinder consists of a piston having small cross-sectional area, and the brake cylinder consists of a piston having large cross-sectional area. In between the master cylinder and brake cylinder there is a fluid, and that is known as the brake fluid, and the brake fluid is essentially brake oil. So in some cases the brake fluid is in the form of air, but in hydraulic brake the brake fluid is oil, and the fluid is enclosed in a closed system, and the master cylinder is attached with a brake pedal and it is connected to a pivot. When we apply force on the brake pedal exerts a pressure on the fluid. That means that pressure is transmitted all over the fluid according to Pascal's law, and it exerts a pressure on the brake cylinder and the brake shoe. Then this goes and touches with the wheel. So the brake shoe held the wheel tightly. So in this way when you apply the brake, the vehicle stops. So this is the schematic diagram of the hydraulic brake, and in this way the hydraulic brake works. Okay. Dear children, we have studied the fluids at rest. Now we are going to study the fluid in motion. The study of the fluid in motion is known as the fluid dynamics. So when you turn on a water tap slowly, then what happens there? What do you observe there? The water flow is smooth initially, but when the speed of the outflow is increased, then the smoothness of the water loses. So we want to study what happens to the various fluid particles at a particular point in space at a particular time. That study is the fluid dynamics. Actually, it is the study of fluid in motion. Clear? There are different types of fluid flow: streamline flow and turbulent flow. First, we are going to study about the streamline flow. This is the path of a fluid particle. So when a fluid flows, then the velocity of the fluid particle is constant at each point. But it may be different at different points. At a particular point, the velocity of the particle is constant, but it may change from point to point. So if every other particle which passes through this second point follows the velocity and path of the particle as its predecessor. So every particle has a velocity, has a constant velocity at a particular point, but it is different at a different point. Then every particle follows the same path and has the same velocity as its predecessor. So when a particle passes through this point, then the second particle has its same velocity and same path at this point as its predecessor. So we can say that that flow is a streamline flow or the steady flow. So this is the trajectory of the fluid particle. The direction of the fluid particle is not changing. So every particle has the same direction and same path and same velocity at each point. So the path of the particle is noted as the tangent at the point on the curve. Okay, the direction of the fluid particle is represented by the tangent at a particular point on the curve. So we can say that streamline flow means when a liquid flows such that each particle of the fluid passing a given point moves along the same path and has the same velocity as its predecessor. The flow is called the streamline flow or steady flow. The path taken by the fluid particle under a steady flow, that is the streamline. So this is the streamline. Okay. So the streamline is defined as a curve whose tangent at any point is in the direction of the fluid velocity at that point. Okay. What are the properties of streamline? So no two streamlines can cross each other. All the fluid particles have the same path and same velocity as that of the predecessor, so the no two streamlines can cross each other. If they do so, the fluid particle at the point of intersection will have two different directions of flow. This will destroy the steady nature of the fluid flow. So in a streamline, in a steady flow, no two streamlines can cross each other. Then second property, the tangent at any point on the streamline gives the direction of the velocity of the fluid particle at that point, that we already studied. So this is the tangent. Okay, tangent at any point gives the direction of the velocity of the fluid particle at that point. Then the third property, greater the number of streamlines, larger is the fluid velocity in a section of fluid. So if the streamlines are greater, then we can say that the velocity of the fluid is greater in that particular section of the fluid. Then the fourth point, fluid velocity remains constant at any point of a streamline, but it may be different at different points of the same streamline. So at a particular point, fluid velocity remains constant, but it may change at a different points. So that also we studied. So at a particular point, all the fluid particles has the same velocity, but it may change at a different points. But when the fluid particle reaches here, then all the fluid particle has the same velocity at this point. When it reaches there, then the fluid particles has the same velocity. That means it follows the path and velocity of its predecessor. Then we can say that that flow is the steady flow or the streamline flow, and the path of the fluid particle is known as the streamline. Clear? If the velocity of the fluid particle exceeds a limiting value, then the nature of the streamline loses and the flow becomes turbulent. That particular velocity of the fluid flow is known as the critical velocity. So the critical velocity of a liquid or the fluid is that limiting value of its velocity of flow up to which the flow is streamline. Up to the limiting value of velocity, the flow shows the streamline flow, and above which the flow becomes turbulent. Clear? And the third type of flow, laminar flow. You should concentrate on steady flow and the turbulent flow only. So anyway, we can study this laminar flow also. The velocities at different points in the fluid may have different magnitudes, but their directions are parallel. So this is the schematic representation of the laminar flow. So when the velocity of the fluid flow is less than the critical velocity, the liquid flows steadily. Each layer of the liquid slides over the other layer. But in the streamline, it is not like that. So here, each layer of the liquid slides over the other layer. It behaves as if different lamina are sliding over one another. Such a flow is called laminar flow. So, their directions are parallel, but they have the different velocities. Okay, that is the laminar flow. So, you understand the different types of flow. Okay. Equation of continuity. So, to derive the equation of continuity, we are considering a streamline flow. So, this shows the fluid flow through a pipe having various cross-sectional area. And this is a streamline flow. There we consider the 3 points P, R and Q and the area velocity of the point P. Area and velocity at the point P, that is AP and VP. At R, AR and VR, and Q, AQ and VQ. Then the mass of the fluid particle flowing through the point P, that is the delta MB at a time interval delta T, and at R delta MR, and at Q, that is delta MQ. And according to conservation of mass, the amount of fluid particle flowing through the pipe, that is at point P is equal to at R is equal to at Q. So we can write delta MB equal to delta MR equal to delta MQ. Then we can write the delta MB in terms of the density and the volume. So here we can write the mass equal to, mass equal to volume into density. So what is the volume? Volume equal to area into length. We can write area into length into density. So here length represents the distance moved by the fluid particle in a time interval delta t. So you know that distance equal to velocity into time. So suppose the fluid particle from this point, the fluid particle moves through a distance, this distance. So that we can write in terms of the velocity into the time. Clear? So we can write length, that is the distance in terms of the velocity into delta t. So the mass equal to area into velocity into time into density. So this velocity into delta t, that is v into delta t, that is the distance. That area into distance, that is the volume. So volume into density, that is the mass. So we can write the delta MB in terms of the density and volume, that is rho P, AP, VP delta T. Okay. Similarly, delta MR equal to rho R, AR, AR, VR delta T, and delta MQ, rho Q, AQ, VQ delta T. So this represents that the amount of fluid passing through the point P is equal to R is equal to Q, which means that the fluid flows through a pipe to the initial point to the final point is same. The amount of water flowing through a pipe is same. That is according to the conservation of mass. And for a fluid, we can write density at P, rho P is equal to at R, that is equal to rho Q. So the density is equal. So we can write the AP, VP, delta T. Delta T also we can cancel, isn't it? That is the interval, same interval of time. So we can write AP, VP equal to AR, VR equal to AQ, VQ. So this is the equation of continuity. So in general, we can write A into V, A into V, area into velocity, that is equal to a constant. This is the equation of continuity. Area into velocity is a constant. This is known as the volume flux or volume flux or we can say that flow rate. Flow rate. So what do you understand from this? A is proportional to 1 by V. Okay, A is proportional to 1 by V. So which represents that when the area of cross section increases, velocity decreases. So area of cross section at a particular point P increases, velocity at that point decreases. Okay, so here we can write, for example, area of cross section at a point P is greater than area of cross section. Okay, at a point area of cross we can write area of cross section at a point R is greater than area of cross section at a point Q. So here area of cross section at R is greater than area of cross section at Q. So what do you find out from there, from this equation? So VR less than VQ. Okay, VR less than VQ. So area of cross section at R increases, velocity at that point decreases. That is the equation of continuity. So equation of continuity states that during the streamline flow of a fluid through a pipe of varying cross section, the product of area of cross section and the normal fluid velocity remains constant throughout the flow. That is AV equal to constant. That is the equation of continuity. We can see this in our practical application. So for example, if you close the one side of the PVC pipe with your finger, when the water flows through it, the velocity of that water increases. When you take your finger, then you can see that the velocity of water flow decreases. So there area increases, velocity of water flow decreases, and area decreases, the velocity of water flow increases.